Let's just say that we're in our turtle position, whether it's off a guard pass or whether it's off a failed shot or there's been a sweep and a scramble, something's happened and we've ended up in turtle. And our opponent, like I said, most of the time, especially in the gi, they're trying to get behind us. In no gi, you'll get into a little bit more sort of front headlock type positions because some of those chokes are a little bit more common in no gi, so guillotines and Darce chokes, anacondas, those sorts of things, Peruvian necktie, all that kind of stuff is a little bit more common in no gi. In the gi, typically we want to get to the back because we've got such leverage on the neck. Okay, so now, if our opponent does manage to get to our back, what I like to think of is that until there's a choke or any other submission, but usually again in this position it's usually a choke, until there's a submission attempt or hooks in, so until they've actually got the hooks in, this is a wrestling match. Okay? This isn't jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is submissions and it's back grab. They don't have that in wrestling. Okay, so if I'm in this position here right now, my mindset should be wrestling match before it should be jiu-jitsu match. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now with this little hip heist move. So what we're going to try and do from here, depending on their arm setup, okay, whether, again, if they're going for the neck and those sorts of things, then it becomes a little bit more jiu-jitsu-y. Okay, but until that point, let's just say they don't have it. What we're going to do now is we're going to try to hand fight. So he could have both hands, even if it's just on the hips or sort of like just blocking, yeah, like that, doesn't have to actually be locked. What we're going to do from here is we're going to try and stuff one of their hands into what we call our back pocket. Okay, so I'm going to try and posture up and get both hands onto one of theirs. Okay, here or here, doesn't really matter in this instance here. Now if he had like a wrist control or something like that, then it makes it hard, obviously, because now I can't turn certain directions because of this control. But if they don't have that, if they've just got like this gut wrench type position where they've got around my midsection, or if they're just controlling my hips, whatever it might be, that's when I can try to hand fight and I'm pushing them into my back pocket. I'm going to come up on my far side leg and I'm pushing back into him because he's going to be trying to drive me forward to keep me down. Okay, he doesn't want me to stand up. So he's usually at this point here, if I'm trying to come up, he's trying to bring me back forward. Exactly, so then I'm going to try and fight for those hands, opposite foot, and I'm pushing down and back on this hand as I lean into him. Don't overcommit here in case they reach for this shoulder, and as I push, he pulls me backwards. So move back, yeah, like that. Okay, so we have to be careful that we don't overcompensate and push all the way back there, because then we might get our back taken anyway or end up in like a north-south type position here. So say he's got this grip, I'm going to posture up. See, especially if it's both hands under the armpits, I can posture up real safely here, because there's no threat of a choke. Okay, you can't choke me like this. Yeah, so whereas if one hand, just put this one over my shoulder, yeah, if I try to posture up here and I fight this, now there's a chance that he'll go there. Yeah, so it changes the game a little bit, and that's why we need to know the difference between wrestling and jiu-jitsu. But if he hasn't yet got the choke in place, okay, that's what I was talking about before. So hand fight, we push into our back pocket, post our opposite leg, and now from here we're going to lean back as our leg comes through, and we turn to face our opponent, and we've created this distance. Okay, and this is what gives us our escape. Remember, trying to escape, trying to create distance. So I'm here, he's taken my back, I'm in turtle. Okay, whether he's holding my hips or he's locked around my waist, doesn't really matter. Hand fight, push down as I post. Now leaning back, bottom leg comes through as I turn face, and I push away from my opponent to end up back into like a kneeling sort of scramble position. Right. Now, if you can, you want to try and do this on the near side hand. So if he's on that side there, that's the hand I want to do it to. Okay, it's better than doing it this way because it's very hard for me, because of his weight being on this leg, it's hard for me to get that leg up. And then, as I come around, it'll still work, but if he's got this, I try to turn, he pulls me back, and it's very hard to turn away. Okay, so I want to, if I can, if he's not choking me. Okay, so if he doesn't have a seatbelt, if he's not choking me, which is going to normally be that near side arm. Because if he tries to choke me with that arm, from there, now he doesn't have as much control. So usually it's going to be the far side arm under the armpit, near side arm over the shoulder. Okay, we'll go to that scenario next if you want. So here though, without that, so just put that back on. Yeah, so he's just on my hips, or he's just controlling here. He's trying to throw me back down, chop my arm, do all this sort of stuff. I'm going to try and grab the near hand. That lets my outside leg post. Push to the back pocket, hip heists away, turn face. Okay? Position here, but now they have the seatbelt type grip here. Okay, so in this position. Now in this position here, I can't hand fight and focus on this because as soon as I break that grip, I go straight into a choke. Okay, so this is where I need to understand the difference between wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Okay, so in this position here, what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to double team this arm because this is the danger. Okay, now this controls me a little bit, yes, but this is the one that can submit me. So I have to deal with the submission before I deal with the control. Okay, thinking about that hierarchy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and grab one hand sort of on their sleeve down towards their wrist, whatever you can grab down here. The other hand I'm going to try to grab above his elbow, up here, like that. And I'm going to pull it down. Because when Milton goes to choke me, he's trying to pull this arm back that way. So just grab my lapel and just like simulate you choking me. Yeah, so he pulls that arm back. So people often, when they're getting choked, they think of the symptom of the choke, which is being choked, not the cause of the choke. Okay, so if I fight here on this hand, if he gets that grip on my lapel, if I'm trying to hold this, he can still move his arm back and he can still choke me. Okay, so what I want to try and do is hold on to the end, and I want to hold above, as close to his shoulder as I can reach. So obviously, depending on limb length, I might only just be here, but I want it to be above his elbow ideally. If I can walk my hand up towards his shoulder and pull down, just get a choke grip for me. Yeah, if he's got the choke in here, if I can pull that way, so now choke me. If he can't really choke me, yeah, so if he can't move this arm backwards because I've locked it down here, he can't choke me. So now I'm actually looking at it from a mechanical standpoint, I'm taking away his leverage which comes from his shoulder. Okay, he's not pushing this up into my neck. He's pulling this across my neck by moving his arm. So if I can get high on that shoulder, pull it this way, now from here, even if I don't have this, now if I let go, obviously you could switch to like a rear naked type of grip. Yeah, so I'm not going to do that in reality. But once I've got this grip here, that collar choke is almost done. Okay, because now he can't pull that arm across. Now I'm going to turn in and I'm going to try to move my butt away and then pop my head out so I'm facing him here. And then I can counter wrestle, or then I can try to back out, hand fight, and get away. Okay. So we were in this position before, but instead of like the gut wrench type position, that double wrap around the hips or whatever, we've got now a seatbelt. So he can use this to set up his turnovers, he can use this to set up his chokes. There's lots of things that he can set up with this seatbelt control here. So I'm going to try to grab the sleeve and as high on the shoulder as I can, and I pull down. Now I look into the choke, because whenever we're getting choked, we turn our head in. If I try, just posture up for 1 second. If he's got that grip in here, so he starts to choke me, he's pulling that way. If I try to look away from the choke, I just make the choke worse. The gap is actually over here. So when I look into the choke, I take the pressure off. Okay, so that's why we usually look into a choke. So he's got his seatbelt or he's got the thumb in like a clock choke type position. Hold, find the elbow, and then from there walk your way up. Pull down tight. Now you can pull guard, there's lots of ways you can get out of this from here, but we're going to focus more on sort of the wrestling stuff. In this position here, I turn in, my inside leg is going to shoot backwards as I turn to face, and I'm going to pull my head out and under. So I turn in, and I kind of push his arm up so I make space for my head to come in. Now from here, I could go into my wrestling, come up onto his back, or maybe in this position here, I reach through the ankle, go into a single leg, finish on his foot. There's all things that I can do from there. Okay, so once more. Turtle position, but he has the seatbelt. Or he has the thumb in, clock choke type position. Hold the sleeve above the elbow and then try to pull and keep working your hand up towards the shoulder. Once you're safe, bum moves away, I push slightly away with my hands as my head ducks out. Now if you can, head on the inside as I grab that near leg. If you want to take him down, my inside hand feeds to his heel. I'm going to push my head in as I pull his heel through. Here. Now I'm going to swing straight through, sort of like a 50-50 type position, and then from there, finish on the straight foot. Okay, so we couldn't get him away with our hip heist, we couldn't get him away with our body positioning and our low single leg. So now we're stuck in this position here. Usually here, he's either going to try to flatten me out, which we'll do next, or he's going to try and turn me over and then start to apply submission holds. So what I'm going to try and do here is, if I can, now obviously nothing's always perfect, we may have to roll and go with a normal back grab escape. But if we can escape from here, we may as well. So again, I'm going to try and hold on here, so I'm protecting my neck. Okay, now I can post my forehead, that's fine. Now, from here, I'm going to try and kick my leg to take one of his hooks away. So have a look if you can see from the back. I kick my leg straight, I bring it in, and I'm trying to clear his hook. Now I do the same thing on the opposite side. Kick, bring my leg in, here. Now that I've got this, I almost do like a drop Cianagi. Now I pull in, so I don't fall. Now the hand that's on the shoulder will come either in front of his hip or across his body here. My head comes up and I drive my head in as I pull and then up on top. Okay. So we're here. He had, so just go back one step on me. So say you just got your hands on my hips sort of thing. So he's in this sort of position here. Okay, we couldn't escape. Now he gets his seatbelt. I'm worried about this, and now he gets the hooks in because I've got this space, and he goes. Oh, easiest escape ever. He got greedy. So we're here, he shoots the hook. 1, 2. Yeah, and now I'm in this position here. So I need to, again, pay respect to this arm, because this is one that chokes me. So I'm pulling that in, I'm trying to get his weight forward, like this. Now sometimes we can just kick the opposite leg on its own, and that'll be enough. So I come here, in, and then I pull this leg up. Now that might be enough just to drive in, like this. Take my arm out, get my underhook, and now I use my head to turn, and I'll usually end in half guard. If I have the luxury of getting both hooks off, I'll end up in side control. So, back to the start. Sorry guys. I need a self-tying belt. So I couldn't get him off, he got his seat belt, then he's got his hooks in. Here, he didn't fall. I've managed to grab hold, I'm defending the choke. Or I'm just sort of holding this position here. So we can't switch to a choke from the seatbelt. So now I put his weight forward onto my forehead. Ideally I take both hooks out, but if I can only get one, I do the side that he's holding under my arm. Okay? So I kick and I bring my knee together. Nice and quick, and then I bring it up. If I can, same thing on the other side. Now I drive in, get my underhook as my head turns him, and I come up, ideally into side control. If I only had one hook come off, I'll come up and I'll be in half guard. But I've still gone from a bad spot to a good one. And now they've managed to get us flat here. So this, in terms of the hierarchy of positions in Jiu-Jitsu, this is the worst possible place for me to be and the best possible place for Milton to be. So if we can you just roll me this way? So if he's on my back like this, and he's got a seatbelt or whatever he's got, most people would look at this and say this is the best place to be for Milton. And they're not totally wrong, okay? It's a great place to be. I can't see what he's doing. If this is a fight, I can't really punch him. He can kick me in the nuts, kick me in the stomach, he can choke me, he can punch me, he's got all these things. However, if I manage to escape, so let's just say somehow I manage to go like this, and I turn, I come on top, even if he's got me in guard, who's in a better position if this is a fight? Me. Because now I can do this, and I've got these. Okay, so compare that to now me being mounted. So same thing. I can't see what he's doing, okay? He can punch me very effectively. I literally can't punch him at all, whereas before I could maybe wrap punch over my shoulder. He can submit me, arms and chokes and all sorts of things. But the main thing that makes this such a beneficial position is even if I escape, I'm still on the bottom. Like there's no, you would have to be the least experienced grappler in history to get bridged from that position there and end up like this. Like that's just not gonna happen. I'm sorry. Unless like he's 400 kilos and I'm 50. It is not gonna happen. Yeah, so the best thing is with back mount is that even if I manage to escape, he's still on top. Okay, so that's why this is the #1 position in Jiu-Jitsu, is this one right here. He has the most ability to finish a fight, strike submissions. I have the least ability, plus I have the least ability to defend into a good position. Okay, so I need to make sure a couple things. I need to make sure my elbows are in tight. The last thing I want to do is flail, like this, or try to push up, because then he's just going to choke me straight away. Okay, so I need to make sure, even if he's got his seatbelt type thing, I need to again make sure I'm hand fighting and I stay tight. Shoulders are shrugged, I'm holding his grip, chin is down. Now I'm going to pick a side and I'm going to try to roll onto my side. Now if he's got the seatbelt here, so if his left arm is over my shoulder, I'm going to turn and face my right. And see how my hips move? Like that. Okay? Now, you don't have to do it like that. That's just how I tend to do it. You can sometimes go that way, but this arm will get trapped and you can't actually roll onto your back if that's been chicken winged. Okay, so here I'm trying to defend, that elbow is tight. So I look, roll onto my side, and as I do it, I want this elbow here to make a little bit of a wedge in front of his leg. This one here is protecting against the choke, so this one doesn't have to do a whole lot. Now my leg comes high, and I start to slide my leg under and catch. At this point here, he's got a couple of options. One is to keep his back leg high and try to roll me and take my back. Like that. And then get the other hook in. And then from there we would try to escape from here. The other, in this position here, is as I keep trying to get my back onto the floor, he tries to stay in a dominant position on top. And so what happens there is I'll turn and I want to try to suck this elbow in, and we'll end up here in half guard. Okay, so even if he loses back mount, he's still in control. But now I can push on the knee, I can come onto my side, and now we can start to be offensive. Or, as I said, if he takes my back again, then we try to defend a different way from there. So, let's just say we're here. Just to make it easy to practice if you want, start without the seatbelt grip. So just like this. Okay, so he's just holding back mount, I'm protecting. Turn. And he's going to be squeezing tight, yeah, like that, which is good. That's what I want. I want him to do it for real. My arms come in front of his leg, and I push it down as I step over. So when I push it down, I should hopefully catch his shin on the top of my leg. Here. Now I keep pushing as I turn my shoulder and back to the mat. And I want to turn all the way. At this point here, I pop that arm up. And I try to get into a good underhook half guard position. If he gets the underhook and he flattens me out. That's not the best thing in the world, but it's not the worst because at least I'm in half guard. And now I have options. Okay, so once more. Now he's got me in back mount here. So let's just do it with the seatbelt to make it a little bit more real. Yeah, so I hold. I'm trying to hold that across there. I turn here, use my elbow to push and catch. Now I want to slide my bottom leg through, and I'm trying to turn this arm here in this little space, like that. Okay, now he's going to stay on top. He's going to try to get an underhook and a crossface. I'm trying to get my underhook and push his knee back in, and then once we're in here, we worry about what to do next. Or, if there's no seatbelt, here it's a little bit easier. So he's in back mount, I roll, push on his leg, trap him into half guard, big turn, and I get into my underhook position here on my side, and then from there, I can start to come up, and now I can try flatten Milton out, and now he does the same thing. So he turns onto his side, he pushes on my knee, half guard gets the underhook, hip escapes, he comes up, he gets the back, flattens me out. And we can turn it into a drill. Okay? Alright, let's have a quick go at that.